Can you hear us, Fabien? Fantastic, that's cool. I'm not sure your microphone is on yet. We are not ready yet to hear you, but...
No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Fabien, we can hear you now.
No.
Everything is
No, we
fine.
can hear.
Okay, sorry for that. I hope that you can hear me now. So
Yes, everything is so fine.
okay, sorry for that. New issue I didn't expect. So we share my screen again. So first of all, I hope that you can hear me now. I would like to say that behind the sprint course and all the courses in European Sprint Orienteering Championship, it was a teamwork with different people. First of all, I was designed as a course setter for sprint relay, but for several reasons, I was designated also for the sprint course. Who I am? I have some experience as an elite runner. I've running some world championships and World Cup also. I'm also experienced in coaching for young athletes in Belgium. And in professional life, I'm a geographical information system engineer and a father of 3. So it means that I'm not professional. It means that I don't have so much time. It was more a hobby time. I mean, to focus on course setting in European Sprint Championships. And the teamwork, we worked together with Jeremy, who was the event director, if you know him, in Belgium. Karl Vervoort as a mapper, Karl Koopens as the event national controller. And of course, with the great help of Truls and Daniel as IF event advisors. So we had all together, I think it was really a teamwork, and we had regular and close collaboration all together for a month or years. And it was, I think, the key of working was that close collaboration between all of us. It's about how we picked the European Orienteering Championship cities. I'm living in South Belgium, and all the cities were in the city list were in Flanders, in the north part of Belgium. And it's really Jeremy as event director who worked on that. And the selection criteria were different. We had different selection criteria. Of course, they tried to work on cities without orienteering activity or maps before. We had also all the volunteers or the clubs are more located on the northeast side of the Flanders. So it was good to have a quite close proximity with volunteers. And also they looked for sponsorships and logistics feasibility also. Main challenge for Belgium is that the sports orienteering is really a small sport in Belgium, and so it was quite difficult for them to negotiate to negotiate with the cities to get the orienteering championship on their own soil. The financial expectation was quite high, I mean, for Belgium level. And we had, of course, as main challenge also some political change with different election during the period of organizing the event. So we changed a lot, and so it was also it impacted also the deals. Final choices, we had Asselt, maybe if you know him, it was designated for a sprint relay. And Lier, today we will talk about Lier, which was chosen for the sprint event. And Hill, the last city for the knockout, where the municipality had a great enthusiasm and where the knockout terrain suited probably the best. So yeah, that was the criteria, and the main challenge is how we picked the city in Belgium to organize these European Championships. So as a course setter, as a team, also part of the team, we tried to have good course, but it's easy to say good course, but good course for athletes, but also spectators at the arena, for the TV audience and the city. I mean, good view of the main public areas. We have to let them the opportunity to show the city also. But of course, we can suggest what we want as course setter, but the runners decide what they will do, in fact, during the race, especially on the sprint relay. But here we are talking about the sprint. And I had tried to work on a strategy. I mean, the first is that the differences between runners as well athletes has to be made technically. Lier was not the best terrain or the most technical challenge. So we try to, if we want to have to answer to the first goal, if we want that the difference has to be made technically, we had to probably had a lot of controls, variety of type of legs. And the legs have not to be equivalent, of course, with different kind of distances and way to think the best route has to be. We had also as a goal to the qualification has to be also very important. I mean, most of the athletes want for the final, and they prepare probably a lot for the European champs. So we need to also take care of them, and they have to have fun also to run the sprint qualification. Of course, it's mandatory. We have to take care about fairness, and as the city or probably the most of the teams will try to have some maps before the event. We try to open a lot of private areas. We try to also to add, of course, it's common now in nowadays to work like that, but to add a lot of artificial fences and barriers. And we had in the view to it has to be very easy. I mean, with no course and concerns near the area passage or near the arena. So it means that there is no hesitation for athletes to come to the finish or punch the spectator control. So if needed, we can give more information in the bulletin for if it was needed. We try here. We have an overview of the city, and we try as I was designated as course setter for the sprint quite late, less than 1 year before the event. So I was it was quite small time before the event. So we try to propose how to work on 2 areas. I mean, there are version E and a version B. On the version, maybe I can show you my laser. So on the version E, we had the qualification area on the east part of the city and southwest for the final, with the final start also on the area for the finish, on the arena for the finish. So it means that we on the version A we had arena spectator passage and also finish and start for the final, or in the same place. And the quarantine for both qualification and final would have been in a school on the north of the city. On the version B, it was different. We tried to use the best areas, which was this on the west part, on the east part, the best areas, technically, I mean, for the final. And so we try to have only the qualification on the south of the city, and then we can have both quarantine for the final on the north part of the city and south near an athletic track for the qualification. So it was the first two versions. The goal was to draw as quickly as possible draft version for this option, and then we finally all together decided to work on a version B, which was a bit adapted. So it means that we had only one quarantine area for qualification and final, but final only on the best areas, in the best technical areas. Only one quarantine, as I said, on the athletic field, and two start for the start final here, the qualification here, and still the same finish for final qualification, but also EOC Tour. So it means that it was quite challenging for in terms of organization. So because the EOC Tour finished their run, their race just between qualification and final. So it means it was quite challenging for all the organizers to deal with it. But at least we had a great atmosphere, I hope, in the arena, with all the supporters coming from the EOC Tour mainly, and all the athletes who qualified or not for the final. It was the first draft for the final for the version E. So as you can see, it was setting very fast with no very big process behind. It was just to see if it can fit for the races. And now retroactively you can see that it's still quite close from the final race anyway. And still for the qualification, the first draft also in this area was also quite similar to the final course, but still it was here just the goal, it was to have an ID, and you can see there were still some building areas of construction, and it was still some expectation to be finished at the time of the EOC races. So we had also a lot of constraints, and we tried to, of course, improve the initial draft by open a lot of new private areas like schools, gardens, sometimes private gardens, with the help of local context. We had a lot of extensive construction in the city, streets, new streets, buildings, renovated streets also. So we had a lot of stress sometimes to will it be completed in time for EOC. And so it was, it was not that easy. It was probably the main challenge as a course setter and as a team to be sure that the work will be done. Even a few days before the event, we have still some streets who were blocked, but we had some good cooperation with the city, and we can open the streets just before the event. Regarding the good or the excellent cooperation with the city of Lier, we worked that no cars were allowed on the race routes. So it means that even parking was forbidden during the event, which was really, really great for security and for the athletes running in through the city who was with no cars, in fact. But still, there were some, as you can see here on the qualification area, there were some streets who were still there were still traffic and also a main parking, and we tried to turn this into new opportunities for route choice and in sprint qualification. We had few TV constraints, as tools said to me always that the course first. So we had only few TV constraints. I will tell you in the end how it was with that. How many course version? I think it depends of the course setters, and there is no one way to do a course. There is so many ways to do it, and my method anyway was very slow, and sometimes it takes 1 or 2 weeks to just make one leg. So I had only 10 versions for the final and only 5 for the qualification, but it took a lot of time to make one version available for the to be analyzed. I try to use 2 methods. In fact, the first one is leg by leg, as I would say. It means that I am not setting a leg himself, but always at least by 2. So it means that, for example, if on the map here, you have the control 4 to 5 on the final course, but you can see that there is no big difference between the routes, but it depends from where you came to the 4th, of course. But then you have a big difference on the 5 to the 6, and the way you choose on the way to the 5th control, it can influence the way going to the 6. So, and then you have a big difference and you can lose times. That's why I try to use, it's always have like relating legs to each other. And also here on the sprint final, you can see we had very short first control, but then we had a lot of, so it means that the athletes didn't have so much time to get into the course and to read something, and then they had a lot of route choice possibility or opportunities to go to the second controls. Although it was no big difference, but still there were opportunities. That's why it was my first method how to work and how to draw the courses. The second method is that to find some key legs, or try to have some key legs which are quite interesting, and also try to group them by at least 2 also. So example for the sprint final here, on the way to the 7, there were several options, but 1 to the 7th control was obvious, and it's really shorter compared to the others, and it was drawn on purpose, because then from the 7 to the 8 control, if you are coming from the east side to the 7, then to find and to have the best route choice to the 8, you have to come back on the opposite direction of the 8. So if you pick the good option to the 7 controls, you have to be very careful and go back, running backwards to the 8. So that was the kind of legs, again, key legs I try to have, and also how to deal with the control just before. And here I propose an obvious route to the 7th control. The second method, again, on the qualification, it was the same issue. We had probably the longest leg on the EOC 25 for at least 1K for the 4th to the 5th controls. So on the qualification, they had also opportunities to have a good, not good, but at least a long route choice. And we can see with the GPS track that a lot of runners took different ways, which was the goal, in fact. that runners can opt for the optimal choice they think about. We had also some course improvements. For example, here we have a version, previous version, and on the right side we have the final version of the sprint final. And on the red area, for example, we had some, as a teamwork, we discussed about this area. Probably the IF advisor told me that probably we have too much control and we can have like risk of collision on the way back to the arena. If you do come back here, we can have collision between the runners coming to this area. So we try to have less controls on the final part, the final course. And of course, it was also an opportunity because this version was a bit too longer. So we can shorter the course on that area to answer to the first ID and to have less controls. On the blue area, first of all, we had a map flip here before a decisive leg. And it was not good. I think we changed the way to work, and the goal was to have no decisive leg immediately after the map flip for fairness, of course. And we had also unnecessary control here, which was removed from the final. An example of TV constraints is that from the 19 to the 20th controls, we have no really route choice, in fact. Normally, the control here was placed more on the left. So we had still one route choice from the 19 to the 20th control. But then if we just let it here on the corner of the building, so then the camera can be upstairs in the building near the arena, so they can have a view of the runners coming through the street. So for the TV, it was more interesting to have most of the runners coming from this side. And that's why we move a bit the control to be sure that no so much route choice, but still we can have a view of the runners coming to the arena. So it was probably the only one constraint that we have from the TV for the sprint final. How it goes with map flip and map exchange, I would say that the area we picked for qualification and final, they were finally quite small, in fact. So my goal was really first to enhance the readability for the athletes and to be sure that there is no on the crossing controls, we have no problems to read the map and the way of the course. But then it turns also to be a technical opportunity because best athletes now work on that and they can anticipate the map flip. I can tell you that Matthias Barros-Valle, the European champion who won the course, the men's course final, he ran about 80 sprint training on the last month from January, and most of them have map flip. And he was able to anticipate all the map flip during the race. So the goal of our strategy of our course is to offer also for the best athletes an opportunity to anticipate the map flip and the next control after it. And it works for the best one, of course. So, and as I said before, easy legs and not decisive control after the map flip. So we can see here, we had one map exchange before the arena passage for the men's and the women's course. And we had two map flip for the men and only one for the women. Storytelling, I think we try to offer, no, not to offer, but to think about how the course will be done by athletes. How will it be on the arena passage, for example? The goal is to offer, of course, some route choice in the first part of the race, but still not decisive gaps. So we had still a lot of runners quite close to each other in the arena passage, even if they don't choose the best routes. It was hypothesis, of course, but still offer the decisive legs only on the last part. If it combined with tiredness, it could be a good opportunity, and also because if some of them run the longest way to the 8 control, I mean the long leg here, maybe they could be tired, and some of them were in fact very tired, and they make some really big mistakes in the end. So it was the hypothesis and the storytelling for the sprint final is to have no major time differences on the arena passage. Calculated winning times. In fact, it was quite not that easy. As a crusader, I was too old to test myself. But of course, we didn't share the course with some others, so for fairness and security reasons. So, and also some private areas were not. When we have no access to them, so under real competition conditions, so it was very difficult, I mean, to calculate winning times. But we had some luck, in fact, is that we had in Belgium ASM, International Sprint Events for Elites, is organized the last decade, and we can get some good value, or I mean, good data from that event in similar terrain or cities. And also I tried to work on the last years of work and World Cup race, sprint race, on the similar terrain, similar number of controls, and quite a lot of change direction. So with that data analysis of the last 8 years of international courses, and also coming from ASM, Belgium event, then we try to determine some average speed, and also I can adjust then the course to have the winning times around 13.5. But I made the calculation only on using Excels and distances and OCAD route analyzer. It was the only way I could work on it because of the private area, as I said before. But anyway, I don't know if it was a matter of luck or not, but it works quite well. Here on the slides, you can see the time, winning time for the qualification and final, and it was quite close, I must say. And the only 1 week heat in the qualification was run a little bit faster, but it was because Matthias, the European champion, run already faster than the others in the sprint qualification. But the others on the second and third post spot, they were on the winning time calculate. So I think it's probably more difficult to estimate the winning time for sprint qualification, because sometimes some runners they are not running in full speed. They just try to qualify it, and they have some margin to be in the final, so they are not pushing all the way. And so maybe it's an hypothesis for me that it's probably more difficult to estimate the winning time for sprint qualification, but still. Managing stewards and tasks. Of course, we had sometimes more than 100 stewards in the terrain, and they had no knowledge of the course and about nothing, in fact. So the solution for us was to managing the event area to different sector management. And as we can see, we had a lot of not so much controls, of course, but a lot of gates, doors, tapes, sticks, traffic cones, and so on to put in the terrain just before the event. So it was quite stressful, that part of the work. And we create a GIS database, donc a Geographical Information System database, and to be able to manage all this stuff. As always, when you create a database, you have to first fix the data model. And first of all, we try to define the semantic description for different kinds of objects, like for helpers or stewards, artificial barriers, gates, control location, and we assign attributes or properties to all of these meanings. And we implementation was into a GIS open source software, which is called QGIS. And some database SQLite also were used for that. So I don't know in the future if it will be an opportunity, but we can probably try to work to have an official IRF resource in the future on that way. So it means that for an organizer, it would have been more easy to have the same standards of and also for athletes. If they meet a security guard or a control guard, they know always that it's how they show in the terrain. So it would have been maybe an opportunity to work on that in the future. Here's an example of how the GIS work. We have we have some different view here with the helpers, the authorization area. So for example, the green here, the green line is an authorization area. We got a special authorization to get into this park for the sprint relay. It's just an example here. And for example, here we have 2 gates, and the green means that it's an open gate, and it turns to the red if the gate has to be, or the door has to be closed. And for example, we have in blue the tape who has to be put into the terrain to be sure that everything is marked and easy to understand for the runners or the athletes. And here we had some traffic cones and sticks and tapes who has to be put on the streets by some helpers to be sure that the road is closed and easy to understand for the athletes also. So all the semantic description were put into the database, and we can draw over the map and the course all the things. And the GIS database can produce automatic reports. And for here, we have a map with all the stuff we have to put into the terrain. And here we have the controls. And as I said, for the controls, for example, there are only 4 controls on the area 3. So it was the sector management number 3. And there was only 4 controls, and we had no artificial feature to put on that control. So it means that sometimes on specific controls, we could put some artificial feature, and then it has to be written here by the database. So we knew exactly what we has to be in the terrain on that area. And also we had 4 gates or door. All of them has to be open. All of them has some keys. And here's some statistics about how many meters of tape theoretically we have to take in, and how many sticks and traffic cones also. So it was a bit theoretical, but still it was an idea how to work and how to deal with the terrain in the city. Information, we try to give, of course, there is official information to the national teams with official website, Eventor, bulletin, the team official meeting, of course. But for fairness, there were no old maps in Lier. It was a completely new area. So with the access to the geodata, the public geodata, Jeremy built an auto-generated map of Lier, which was available for all teams. So you can see here all the teams as the same kind of map as basis. And of course, information is that on the website of City of Lier, they had a complete list of all road closure for sprint qualification and final, which was very legally a requirement or mandatory. So a lot of team get this information also by the website of City of Lier. But we had some discussion after the event, in September, after the European Champs. We had some discussion with some national teams or friends, and for example, Finland, how they prepare for that. They of course use the data we published. And then with the list of the streets they get from the city, they just knew almost exactly where the start would have been for the qualification, and for the final also. So you can see that for the sprint final simulation and qualification, they were quite close from the reality, in fact. So it was a right balance for us that, okay, we have no cars and no traffic in the city for the qualification in final, which is really great in terms of security and also for the athletes running into the city. But then, of course, legally there was information published on the website and then they can use it. So we have to find the right balance, and probably I think it was very nice to have no cars in the city, but it was our choice. It was yeah. And as I said, for France simulation and Norway also, they had quite similar, and they find also the starts of the qualification and final too, and so they were in fact quite well prepared for the event. If I have to talk about relative success, I don't know. Maybe I should say that Jeremy was amazing. He has so strong leadership and vision from the beginning. I mean, for Belgium level, I think he's quite. It was amazing the work he done, and it was almost 3 years of work, and it was quite long, I must say. With a lot of helpers. And I think one of the key success keys is probably the experience. A decade of organizing ASOM, as I said, the elite sprint event organized every year in Belgium. A lot of the helpers or stewards come from that event also. So we try to improve, organize, improving. It's an iterative improvement we had all the time. And of course, the EOC test race organized a few weeks before EOC was probably a great experience to evaluate, to maximize for the event itself. Also, I would like to really thank the tools and Daniel's support, advice. They were incredible, and yeah, to reach the IOF standards or level, they were so great. And also Belgium, it's quite a complex country with 2 federations, in fact. And Kono was the private company who organized EOC, succeed, in fact, and Jeremy also to unify efforts from the 2 federations, even from the French-speaking. So it was really great and good for orienteering in Belgium. And also it was incredible to have so much of helpers and stewards, more than 300 helpers, and some were very experienced by organizing ASM. But still, it was amazing for us to have so many helpers to help. Just some last slides. It's the reference. I must say that, yeah, of course, you know probably all of the website, but I would recommend the great map viewer app from Wordofo. If you go on that, you will probably have you can go inside the course and the sprint final and see what will be your choice or which choice to the sprint final. So I recommend to use this link. And of course, I use some sources in this presentation from Yann, Mathieu, Thierry, Charlie, Damien, and Christophe, and I would like to mention them also, and I ask them, of course, before the presentation if I can use their stuff. So it was almost all from me. I hope that you had you can hear me. And of course, I can show you the great app from viewer from Wordofo, so you can turn using and see the legs by legs, and if you have the opportunity, use it and experience the course yourself.
Okay, so thank you, Fabien. A couple of comments and questions in the chat here that it's a really good suggestion to share and use the QKISS solution for further events also. And Kelly's commenting that except for the statistics, I believe you can do in the GIS with regard to managing the event. You can also do using homemade symbols in OCAD or whatever you use for mapping. And another comment, going back to the course setting, what do you mean with the competitors are able to anticipate the map change? Do you mean that they really before the event can guess whether will be map flip or change?
Not before. I don't know how to answer. I don't know if I can do it now or not. And which question I start for? I will start for the last one, and I can go back earlier if it's okay for you.
Yeah.
So no, able to anticipate the map change. I was the map flip or the map change. That's the map flip. It was no, they just anticipate during the course. I mean, so the competitors, some like for example Matthias Barros Valle, I talked with him after the race and he totally read the next control after the map flip. So during the race, so he was able to turn the map and going to the next control and still anticipate the next control after the map flip. So a lot of them did it. So it was what I was talking about, but probably I don't know if they were able to anticipate the map exchange or map flip before the event. I don't think so, because it's difficult to know exactly where we can do everywhere. So they were not able to do it on the simulation I got from the national teams. They didn't. Yeah, they found the start, the finish, and they had some course quite related, but they don't anticipate where the map exchange and map flip were. But the competitors during the race anticipated. I mean, the best one anticipated completely. That's they train for it. I can say that the European champion train a lot of it. For the statistic, of course, you have the difference between GIS and OCAD is that you have attributes to the feature you draw on the maps. So it means that if I draw a gate, I have properties assigned to the points, and to the points, it means that do I have a key? Do I need a key? Yes or no? Should the gate has to be open or not? Yes or no? So it means that we have. So it means that on GIS, it's not just about statistics, but you can produce maps and you can manage the event, all the facts of the events on the computer. And then, of course, you have to give these maps and the information to the stewards or helpers going to the terrain. And sectors manager did it, and they placed every helpers. But it's the GIS is more powerful to manage events than OCAD. OCAD is just drawing, but it's not. They are dealing different things. In fact, I think we draw the course and we work with OCAD, but GIS can offer more to manage the event.
Okay, thanks, Fabien. And then another comment.
Yes.
Just maybe a little bit kidding from Ivar Malen that the use of the previous results to estimate winning times is superior to test running and not luck.
Yeah, we had no opportunity to test by running, so we had the only way, in fact, was to calculate with experiences, in fact, on that kind of similar terrain. It was only and use, of course, as statistic. You can use some margin and to have like interval confidence, and then you can still have approaching the reality. I don't know if we had luck, but we were quite close, in fact.
Okay, thanks, Fabien. I don't see any raised hands or any questions, so back to you, Helge.
Yes, and thanks a lot, Fabien, for your incredible presentation here. I think